Louisiana, 1896. The fetid bayou teems with undead abominations, and in the distance some profane, putrid creature howls a dirge in the darkling gloom. Two ruddy-faced pistoliers square off on opposite ends of the mire. Aware their impending combat, they glower intently. Louisiana moonlight cascading across. Then you're dead. You lose your shit, you lose your hunter. Thank you, screw you, and see you tomorrow.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Take a bow, bitch. You have just been Hunt Showdown. This is a tale of two reviews. One game, a slower-paced, stealth-heavy extraction shooter that accrued a dedicated following among its most ardent fans, myself foremost among them, while in the broader gaming public, it sadly went more ignored than Lena Dunham in a wet t-shirt contest. And the other, a haphazard, full-engine relaunch rife with ill-conceived adjustments, cataclysmically crap Call of Duty UI, and more glitches than Max Headroom singing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
What I want to know is, why are the only funny lines on this show the ones behind me?
Which, in case you inaudibly inquired, is also how this exceptional shooter hybrid wound up with a Steam score uglier than the Cambodian killing fields. It's no state secret the extraction shooter has become the fastest growing genre since the Trump shooter. Throw in Call of Duty's shit-smeared reputation of late, and Zoomer audiences bleary-eyed over Battle Royale being shoved into anything at all with a gun in it. And is it any wonder a mainstream audience starved of hardcore experiences flocked to escape from Tarkov like Nick Fuentes to a French maid outfit? And I unreservedly, unrepentantly, middle finger flippingly adore it. In an industry of yellow paint level design and game journal modes where the players perpetually are prompted away from skipping entire sections of even debatably difficult design, it's refreshing as an ice-cold can of Dr. Thunder to brandish your revolver, shoulder your shotgun, saunter into the most voodoo-ravaged regions of Creole country, and get clapped harder than Jared Fogel's ass cheeks in a prison laundry room. Point is, while Tarkov, at least until recently, had flowers flung footward for inventing the modern extraction shooter, with a quicker launch, not to mention double the development time, that title rightly belongs to the infinitely superior but unfairly ignored Hunt Showdown. Beginning its life as a 4-player co-op steampunk bounty hunting excursion into a randomly generated approximation of the Louisiana bayou gumbo deep in a zombie outbreak, Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age played absolutely nothing like the game we ultimately received, but the atmospherics, scares, and more spooks than a Popeye's parking lot at 4 a.m.
Dude, that is not cool. You're gonna get us into trouble again.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored.
Haunted house were present and accounted for. Sadly, with a revenue model I can only assume was copied from the Greek government, the future prospects for Horrors of the Gilded Age were about as rosy as Marilyn Manson's Bikini Zone. With Crytek donating plasma to pay the light bill, it was shit-canned quicker than a Disney Plus drama. The studio was sent immediately packing, where they eventually reformed as Gunslinger Studios, reusing many of the same concepts on the excellent Remnant from the Ashes.
Oopsie doopsie, Razör made a fucky-wucky and got the game dev's name wrong. I hope you'll forgive him. Woo-woo.
While the strudel-swilling, glass coffee table crapping Kraut version of Crytek reused the original setting and some of the style for an all-new IP and game, albeit one which reused the lion's share of the lore. And while early footage clearly demonstrates there was more than enough meat on the bone to actually release Horrors of the Gilded Age to what I assume would be commercial acclaim and critical success, the game that became Hunt Showdown is an excellent, inimitable entry in the early extraction shooter genre. A masterful fusion of voodoo horror, atmospheric stealth, sniping, and hammer fanning 6-shooter gunplay unlike anything else on the market. If you ask the average gamer in 2018 if a multiplayer competitive shooter with cowboy guns, Resident Evil zombies, the sound-based stealth of Splinter Cell and Thief culminating in complete permadeath if and when you inevitably eat shit and get shot would not only be a success, but one that continues to accrue an ever larger player base 6 entire years into its lifespan, they'd ask, what kind of crack pipe is that, and does Hunter Biden know you stole it? Hunt Showdown is, or more accurately was, a game paradoxically that can be played as glacially slow and passive as it can be roadrunner quick and cringily aggressive, as methodically and tactically as rootin', tootin', and borderline retarded. From rolling fields of bush-humping Viet Cong autistically lining up a scoped headshot that inevitably misses at least 70% of the time, to would-be Wild Bill Hickox effortlessly snapshotting every head in a 5-mile radius, only to die to a corner crouching shotgun shitlet cowering behind a door like a dick. It's immersive, it's intense, agonizingly unfair, and harder than a Catholic priest at a Cub Scout sleepover. The FromSoft Soulsborne bitches can crow about difficulty and their accomplishments all they like. Truth of the matter is, a 7-hour session stalking, boofing, and banishing your prey, wiping team after team, only to get dropped by a 200-meter Mosin shot on the other side of a fog map would make the most hardened Sekiro kiddies ventilate their wrists in unison. Though the new incarnation of Hunt Showdown, with a numerical, though far from chronologically accurate eponym of 1896, adds an all-new element of difficulty nearly as insurmountable as it is omnipresent. And that new element is...
You looked at the map, didn't you?
Yes, friends, if you have the unbridled, pendulous, testicled temerity to aim down sights, load into a match, or open your ever-loving map, you too will freeze harder than Biden reading the ingredients on a can of Chef Boyardee.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
And while reconnecting is markedly improved from prior versions and will doubtless be refined further in promised updates, if Crytek's prior conduct are anything at all to go by, said hotfixes will be buggier than a Magic Johnson blood sample in their own right. And on the circle of shite spins, young Simba. Indeed, doubtless there will be calls for me to omit entirely this section of the review, as most of what I'm discussing here are transitory glitches that will inevitably be mollified. But truth is, anyone who remembers month upon dilatory month of people using a desync ladder to phase through walls like Kitty Pryde knows all too well glitches in Hunt are about as transitory and impermanent as cockroaches, DSP, and the Rock of Gibraltar. And when they do go, they almost always hire their own replacements. But not all new elements are unwelcome, as following last year's introduction of Rotjaw and the wild target concept itself, Hunt Showdown 1896 sees the introduction of an all-new roaming wild target by the name of, hold for laughter, Hellborn. One can only wonder what socially maladjusted 12-year-old's trapper keeper Crytek cribbed that name from, or how many 90s S's, pentagrams, and floor plans of the junior high gymnasium it was flanked by in the margins. But he's here, he's seared, get used to it. Granted, Butcher and Spider ain't exactly an inexhaustible font of nomenclative creativity, but at least it don't sound like a 90s Rob Liefeld comic character.
You can think and draw at the same time?
Yeah, you draw hands? Are you into hands? Really?
Oh, yeah, I'm the best.
You do hands?
We have a minute and a half or so. I want to tighten those feet.
Okay.
All right, guys?
Okay. Give him an ankle bone here, an ankle bone here.
Well, I think I've got to say seriously, which isn't easy for me to do, but I think it's very impressive that in a matter of 20 minutes, you guys could come up with something like this. I mean, bad as it is. Incidentally, you guys have ruined us. We've decided to give up comics and we're going into showbiz.
What, are Crytek tapping my phones? See, Terengel asked for a gator target since he was first hatched in that hobo camp, and I've been suggesting an immolator boss since our earliest streams of the game. Now, 6 years on, we're suddenly unloading on both? Either way, the art and audio design is superb, though his actual gameplay is more one-dimensional than Dan Crenshaw watching a movie in IMAX 3D. Basically, he asymmetrically ambles around one of 4 pre-appointed compounds, groaning louder than Chris Christie after an all-you-can-ingest 8-hour nacho blowout, and once encountered, he hurls Hadouken at you, only to pause periodically, shout "Free Palestine," and promptly explode. In a game full of chess player bosses, the Hellborn is a checkers man. He encounters an asshole, he jumps him. And by jumps, I mean he flat out flambés the prick until it could almost be confused with one of my steaks.
Steak, Liara. I think about when there's so much steak.
Okay.
I f***ing love steak.
I know.
With that said, limiting his spawns to one of only 4 pre-selected locations is harder to understand than RFK Jr. reading Naked Lunch at a Cannibal Corpse concert. Isn't the entire point of a wild target to be wild? They're supposed to pop up almost entirely at random, retards. Rotjaw jollies onto the map wherever and whenever that scaly slag so desires. It's what makes her more special than a Down syndrome diagnosis.
I'm retarded?
Having Hellborn only emerge at one of 4 pre-allocated locales is about as wild as a church potluck. A Mormon church potluck, which brings me to the operative issue with this entire abortive relaunch. To put it plainly, it's more lopsided than a Guatemalan back alley boob job. For all the multifarious merits of Mammon's Gulch itself, without question the most immersive map proffered to date, there's at least 12 gameplay changes that pinch a poo log in the punch bowl, and there's no fecal Lincoln log bigger than bullet drop. Quick question, RazörForce. How do you tell a truly terrible idea from a merely misguided one? No, not an Amazon Prime logo. While myriad ingredients go into making a coprolite casserole, I would argue that the worst ideas are those that require the implementation of an assload of even worse ones to compensate for the consequences of their deep and abiding bullshit. Want to make Tomb Raider open world? Neat! Now the level design's flatter than the protagonist. Want to cram co-op in a Dead Space 3? Whoops! Now the game's about as scary as the Stranger Danger episode of Full House, and Hunt's edition of Bullet Drop birthed about a damn dozen of these. So here's the plan. To compensate for a bullet drop feature more ill-conceived than the Game of Thrones finale, we'll rework the gun sights of every silenced rifle and even a few noisy ones so they're easier to see, only get this, half of them will be more off-center than Ryan Gosling's eyes! Brilliant! Now sit down to dinner. Your lead paint chips and turpentine are getting cold. Look, bullet drop isn't bad because it makes sniping harder. Hell, I'm a Battlefield 1 fiend. I compensated for it almost immediately and was clicking more heads than the FBI. I mean, a random retarded dude on a rooftop that wasn't guarded for nebulous reasons we needn't explain. Hello, if you're listening, NSA. The worst thing about bullet drop isn't that it hurts scoped rifles, because it really damn don't. Who it hurts is the poor prick armed with only an iron sights rifle who gets winged by said sniper, moves to return fire, only to watch his bullet plummet Owen Hart style to the forest floor below. If you intend to hurt snipers, you failed with flying colors, because the only assholes you really reamed were counter snipers. And weren't they the ones bitching about long ammo snipers on Discord all damn day to begin with? Crytek, I need you to hear this.
What's going on, big guy?
If your .01 inch wonder is hell-bent, bound, and determined to nerf the nuts off all the long ammo snipers, here's an idea. Remove scopes from the fucking game. I'd rather Hunt Showdown didn't have sniping than do it this damn badly. Crytek partners are slamming black tar uncut cope into their veins if they sincerely believe this is all in the name of balance. Bitch, balance has to feel like balance. Watching a Lebel rifle, ostensibly the fastest long ammo bullet in the game, drop out of the air like a Kobe Bryant copter after 140 meters is about as balanced as a bisected ballerina. You didn't even almost adjust the velocity. You just gave it the same trajectory as a shot put and honestly expected that to feel right? Bullet drop is deep-fried dick cancer. Not because my mouthy ass says so, but bitch, because you did! If you leg it on over to huntshowdown.com, in 2 shakes of a cat girl's tail, you'll be inundated with one of the developer's early descriptions of the game's weapon system, within 4 paragraphs of which you stumble on an in-depth explanation of precisely why Hunt did not include cringy-ass Call of Duty drop. There were 2 main reasons. First and foremost, map size. Hunt's levels may seem seismically Xbox huge, but in actuality, you can pre-fontaine across them in under 3 minutes. As such, engagements tend to occur between 50 and 75 meters, and thus drop really shouldn't be a viable factor regardless. Which brings us to the second cited reason, iron sights. Quote, because Hunt is set in the age of iron sights, you won't aim through a scope for most of your shots. With bullet drop, you would have to aim above the target, which forces the shooter to effectively have to guess where to shoot. That isn't something we want players to have to do in Hunt. And ending with a statement eerily encapsulatory of the game's present struggles. And I quote, "We always want hunters to feel like they are in full control of a situation, and that if they miss a shot, it's due to their mistake and not a random element in the game, unquote. Look, you teeth-gnashing autismo-knots can unload on the awful new UI all you like. Indeed, if it's triple-clicking for even the most remedial functions, or fumbling awkwardly through the periodic table of legendary hunters you're currently shrieking about, I'll happily sing baritone for that barbershop quartet.
I'm sorry, I wish it was something less serious.
But the lone recurrent element in every one of the 12,000 plus new, largely negative Steam reviews of Hunt is not merely the menu, it's not just having servers hooked up to damn dial-up modems, it's the latent frustration that undergirds all of the above. Randomness and lack of player control. The central defining element that separated Hunt from every other appallingly unfair extraction experience the Steam store is suffused with at present is player control, and almost every adjustment in this nut-smashing new Coke version of Hunt both deliberately and accidentally undermines it. But don't worry, Crytek are on the scene with a stunningly insincere non-apology to placate the people.
Launching a new user interface for Hunt Showdown 1896 has been a major undertaking. And to be clear, we are continuing to refine and redesign the user interface in several key areas. Pain points around hunter and gear selection, presentation of inventory and loadouts, as well as memorizing filter and sorting options are clearly short of the mark and are prioritized for reworks. Please bear with us as we keep on refining menus and updating systems across the game over the next updates.
Look, I don't want to be completely awash in negativity, though it is admittedly one of my love languages.
Oh, how can you be so heartless and cruel? Practice.
Because in truth, there's no shortage of positive ingredients in the bouillabaisse here. The mountain-esque, Pale Rider-inspired Mammon's Gulch hit me dead center in my Clint Eastwood perma-boner.
Can't serve God and Mammon both. Mammon being money.
With towering crags, smoldering forests, and indeed an entire ruined western town, it's the ideal setting for Hunt Showdown's signature high noon pistol duels. At least it will be 24 patches deep when the actual shooting mechanics no longer feel about as responsive as Terry Schiavo. Also in the plus column, the engine upgrade has had an evident impact on the visual fidelity, which was already among the most drop-dead gorgeous in the multiplayer PC space. Shadows are no longer pixelated on the highest settings, even if the attention to detail could use a tune-up or 20 in places. What's that? Picked a Mauser or a Bergman as your sidearm? Too bad. According to your Shadow, anyone wielding a pistol is instantly rocking a revolver. It's an excellent map, folks, but it's about as seamless as my sack. There's a spot in the Oro Gordo Mountain where an entire chunk of the eastern cliff face eternally fails to render, leaving a nebulous multiverse portal permanently lodged in the scenery. Perhaps a dimension where Crytek are actually aware of what the initials Q and A stand for. And I quote, "Our most polished map launch ever." Crytek's words, folks, not mine. Doubtless uttered while a waterfall of urine streamed down their legs from holding in rolling peals of spleen-rupturing laughter. Look, I love Hunt. I have over 3,000 hours in the game. There's still more fun to be had here than a night in a monkey whorehouse with a bag of bananas. But this relaunch was bowling shoe ugly, and I'm neither a Crytek partner, nor is my butthole brimming with bribes, so I guess I get to be the asshole who actually admits there is much more wrong with the 1896 relaunch than a brutally massacred mobile UI. But not all is lost. This ain't Crytek's first rodeo, nor is it their first faceplant in recent memory. They've recovered from errors that would end other studios with 7 times their staff and budget, and it's my earnest hope they'll reach down in that stovepipe hat and pull out an entire bag of rabbits. Crytek can turn this around. They should turn this around. But will they? That remains in the eye, in the skull, firmly embedded in the buttocks of the beholder. I'm Sheriff Fist, God bucking speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.